ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, and co-host SFL CEO Zach Stanley and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on 105.5 The Team in Rochester. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by SFL CEO, Mr. Zach Stanley.
Tough night last night. I didn't get to see too much of what could be, but what little I saw was a little aggravating.
You are, of course, talking about your Sunday night at home, correct?
Well, no, I was at the Outer Lodge.
Oh, so you're talking about your alcoholic tasting beverages.
No, I'm talking.
I don't know what you're referencing.
I'm talking about the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, there was a football game last night, right?
There was a first preseason Hall of Fame game, and it was exciting to build up to. We didn't get to see much, which isn't surprising because this is what happens every year with these games, is that it's more of a show for the fans and to have something to follow up the big Hall of Fame ceremony. So you don't get to see as much as you'd like to see, but it was cool to see players on the field playing football.
Well, we get to see football, but we also get to see Nick Steblenko. Teddy Bear 2 is here.
Yes, you do. I am here.
Yes, indeed.
The Bills'
you
offense was a little disorganized last night. I guess you could say they were a bit clowny.
Oh, God, we have to continue the pun parade.
That was an easy one, though.
That was sad.
That was a toss-up.
I don't know if I have one right now.
No, you don't got anything? Come on, this is a pretty...
Look at the names on this list. Suafilo,
yeah,
Fedorowicz.
You can make a pun with that. Although you didn't get to see anything great on the field last night from the Bills, you did get to see a certain Bill legend get inducted. Andre
that was
Reed.
awesome.
Nah, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, the introduction by Marv Levy was fantastic. Jim Kelly was there. Threw the ball to Andre Reed before he got his jacket. It was a special time and a great speech.
How many tears were shed by you?
I was getting a little teary-eyed.
I asked how many tears. 3?
Few. Yeah,
okay.
a few. 3's fair.
Good.
3's fair.
I'm glad to hear it. We're men. We can talk about this. Sports and crying are apparently
Well,
things.
I love the Bills, and with everything that's going on with Jim Kelly right now, it's been a lot to take in, and the whole situation was something to behold. It was great that he was there. He's looking like he's got some of his strength back, and just exciting to see all those guys, and real heartfelt speech, of course.
It is
gotta love Andre Reed. He did a great job. Overdue, in my opinion.
Sadly, preseason, usually the first couple of games, you don't get to see much, if anything at all. E.J. Manuel threw 7 passes?
Yeah, the big one's always the second to last preseason game. 3 of the passes were batted down, whether you look at that as an offensive line problem or a Reed problem. I think it was a little bit of both. He was doing a little bit of his straight staring at the receiver thing that he likes to do.
But you know what? I mean, come on. We can't put a lot of stock in this. We always like to try. We like to say, you know what? Hey, we finally get to watch some football. We get a little taste, and then we try to put some stock in it. We can't put any stock in this. You just can't. This is their time to kind of shake the rust off.
Yeah, and as Doug Marrone says, they're going to use every bit of these 5 games that they're allotted to continue to grow and get better. And you didn't see anything out of anybody really last night.
7 passes is not enough to get going in a game.
It's for coaches to evaluate because you have to knock off 30 players from your roster. Or 20
yeah, especially early on. That's why you see some of those backup guys getting much more time because they got to shrink it down.
Yep.
Mike Williams, from what I saw, has some good route running last night. Robert Woods looked great, even though he wasn't working with the first team. TJ Graham actually looked pretty good, and he's kind of concerned about whether he's going to make the roster right now. So. A lot about the receivers last night from what I saw. And I was surprised that Bryce Brown was the 4th running back off the list over Anthony Dixon got the
Really?
Yeah.
That's maybe they just wanted to see more from Anthony Dixon.
You just test them out, see who's playing where. We'll see what happens.
That's why you really can't put any stock, especially fantasy stock, in these preseason games only because it really is for the coaches to know.
Yeah,
this
it's
is
a
why
long
I'm
way to
doing
go.
this.
Just testing out different plays, different patterns.
Yep.
Get all the new players used to what they've got going on in real time play. Make sure they're doing everything right.
That makes perfect sense to me. All right, before we get into the Houston Texans in our 32 days of every single breakdown NFL team, we got to do all of them. But we do have to talk about a big story in the NFL today. We had this fight, a week ago about Andy Dalton. Is he a guy that deserves maximum money as a top quarterback? He got it today. I believe it was, 5 years and $115 million?
Yep.
That's insane.
It was 6 years.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, 6 years.
6 year extension.
6 year, 150. Yeah, if it was 5 years, that'd be the highest paid quarterback.
Right, so he got 19 a year.
That's a lot.
Which he has to earn. We don't know what the actual guaranteed numbers are yet.
Pretty sure they're low.
Yeah, we heard it's pretty low. Around, I would say it's probably a little bit lower than what Kaepernick got, which was low as it was. But he's going to have to earn it every year regardless.
Yep.
Which
I think was a very smart move on the Bengals' part.
The problem, to not offer him much
no, you don't.
Money?
You don't guarantee money because if you have these enormous contracts, you're committed. At least this way, they leave themselves with an out. I think he deserved a contract. I don't know if he deserved that much money, but I certainly think that he was going to get paid by this team eventually. And I think that while it might have been premature to some extent, it's also very premature for people to be saying that he would never deserve this contract.
Well, quarterbacks are such a high commodity right now. You let Andy Dalton go, your season is, your next season's probably ruined or multiple. You don't know if you're going to get a quarterback of his caliber any other time. You're not going to be able to steal away a quarterback from somewhere else because that doesn't happen until twilight ends of careers.
I have a question. What does everybody expect right now out of a quarterback? If you have an NFL team, what's the expectation for success in the NFL at the quarterback position?
Consistency?
No. Expectation like number of years,
reliability,
number of years that it takes for you to be really okay. Yeah, he's successful.
It depends. It depends on the team. If you're a pretty good quarterback and you come in with like a first round pick and a crappy team, you're expected to win within a couple of years, not the first year.
Okay.
Like Andrew Luck was given a couple years to get good. He wasn't expected to win the Super Bowl the first year. That's it's his third year now, right? Mm-hmm. And now he's expected to try to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think third year is when you want to see that massive leap. I think based on when you're taking these early rookie quarterbacks, you want to see it as soon as possible. You want to see what you're getting. If it's really, really bad, you'll know it. Mm-hmm. But if there's signs of growth, if there's signs of maturity going on throughout the seasons, then you're going to continue looking forward.
Yeah, the problem with Andy Dalton is the team around him is pretty good already, and we see minimal growth so far. It's not exponential growth.
I would disagree completely, but
I don't think he's gotten much better.
Well, the numbers would completely disagree because the fact is that he has increased in everything across the board. Every single season he's gotten better. Last season he finished third in the league in touchdowns with 33, albeit he did throw a few too many interceptions with 20, but he threw for almost 4,300 yards, has a great completion percentage, around 62%. The guy has gotten better every single season, and my issue here is everybody wants him to win now. Okay, yeah, maybe he does have a great wide receiver in A.J. Green. Maybe they do have a pretty solid running game. They have a great offensive line. But the fact is, this is a guy going into his fourth season. I have a list of quarterbacks here that are exactly, I would compare to Andy Dalton, all of which, none of them had won a playoff game until at least their fourth season. Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, Tony Romo, all three of them are considered amazing number one quarterbacks. None of them were able to win. Tony Romo is 1-3 in the playoffs. Matt Ryan's only won one game. Eli Manning, his record speaks for itself. But all three of those guys have gotten big fat extensions, and they've barely done anything except for Eli.
Would definitely take Matt Ryan over Tony Romo, but
I agree. I agree, but the fact remains, he did not win a playoff game until his fifth season.
There's really only one thing. Yes, there was some poor decision-making that went on last year. That's a big part of it. What really bothered me watching him later in the season and when it came to be the playoffs, in these playoff games that
Dalton?
They've been losing, Dalton, is how he's handling the blitz. Because the pressure comes much heavier when the playoffs come around.
Especially with the nerves, too.
Right, and that's been the time where he's been making those critical mistakes, and he needs to make that leap. The 20 interceptions is not going to get it done, in my opinion.
No, not at all.
You can't have that. He has to eliminate mistakes, but he has shown the growth. He has shown the promise. This is a big year for him, but I think that going into this, to put him in a position to say, hey, we value you, we want you here, you're going to be a big part of this organization moving forward. I think that's the right move.
Well, now the pressure is off because he's not really playing for a contract and like auditioning. He's
playing the game.
He's told he's the guy. He doesn't have to worry about these extenuating circumstances. Because if a guy's later in his career, that really is not like a Ben Roethlisberger. They're saying they're putting the contract talks on like until the end of the season because it doesn't matter. He's 12-year pro.
Well, yeah, they've guaranteed that they want him around. They've done that already in the previous years.
Yeah, but this is
for
Dalton. Yeah, it's his first time.
For Dalton, this is I agree with Zach. I think this is a good move because you take all that pressure off his shoulders. You say, hey, you're our guy. We just want you to continue getting better because he has. He's shown that he can improve. So now you just take that next step. Take the next step. Get back to the playoffs. Worry about the playoffs when you get there.
I was much more critical of the Niners getting rid of Alex Smith. I was more critical of the Jay Cutler signing and how much they paid him with his risk on the field, his injury problems. This to me is a solid decision for them. And really, I don't think they had another option. I think this was exactly what they needed to do.
Well, I mean, they do have A.J. McCarron waiting in the wings. But,
Stop it.
I know.
All right, so we're talking about Andy Dalton, talking about quarterbacks need to have to win at this level. That's why today we're talking about the Houston Texans, a team that just got rid of their franchise guy because the Houston Texans have only had one guy, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they tried Carr as their first quarterback. That was a big failure.
That was quite a failure.
Yeah,
Schaub
was. He was definitely he was amazing. And last year I thought it was just and it was unfortunate. It was really unfortunate because he was such a great quarterback in history.
Well, the record, if you look at it on paper, 2-14, lost their last 14 games. This was a decent team overall. 11 of the 16 games were decided by one touchdown in either direction. So, I mean, they weren't getting killed. They got beat by, I think it was 2 touchdowns plus against good teams twice. It wasn't that big a deal.
Schaub had a lot of issues in the crunch, though.
It's so many
he did.
pick
It seemed
sixes.
like he got to the point where you saw the best of what he could offer, and I don't know if that's enough.
But, man, that was such a steep fall off. He really fell right off in 1 year because before that, he threw for 4,000 yards. Anytime you have a 4,000-yard passer, I'm sorry, you got to figure, is this going to be our guy just because he's not good in crunch time, or is this our guy and we don't have the team around him to do it?
I guess you could say that. I just thought his entire game, I mean, in watching him, missed throws, overthrowing, underthrowing,
but I feel like
holding on to the ball too long.
I thought it was strictly last season, though. We're gonna get a chance to see because he's gonna start out in Oakland.
Yeah, good luck. Oakland's gonna have a lot of fun starting.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see if he does have anything left in the tank. But I don't know. Last season just seemed like an anomaly. It was a crazy season for that team.
Outside of Matt Schaub, they were all right. 11th overall offense somehow makes no sense to me. Their defense is really good though. 7th overall defense, 3rd passing. Somehow they couldn't stop the run though. I assume they're gonna have a better time doing that this year, right? They have to.
I don't know. I mean, I know they got Clowney in the first round, but he's going to have a tough time transitioning from defensive end to outside linebacker, and he's going to be playing on the same side as J.J. Watt. So I'm not sure.
All right, so we're going to have to discuss after the break if that actually helps him or hurts him moving into the pro level. Coming after the break, we're talking more about the 2014-15 Houston Texans, and also maybe some Jonathan Mailbag, but probably not. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
We're back on the Star Fantasy League Show, and we are talking about the 2014-15 Houston Texans. So if you came for some Tennessee Titan talk, you're on the wrong day. That's tomorrow.
And I have to talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick today, right?
Yeah, your favorite day. You're just going to go completely silent, right? Because you hate Ryan.
I have some things to say, actually.
Of course you do. But we actually, before the break, we were talking about, that guy that got picked. I think he was picked first overall. His name is Jadeveon Clowney. Awesome name, first off. He had some conditioning issues last year at South Carolina. There were rumors that he just kind of didn't want to get in shape. Wasn't really all that motivated because he was basically talked about as if he was already the first pick in his, sophomore year. So his junior year was kind of just didn't really care. He looked slow. He didn't really perform all that well, but he still had the tools to be basically the number one.
Well, I mean, when you're playing for a fat NFL contract, it might be smart to make sure that you're healthy.
Yeah. How about that?
From what I hear, he's looking a lot better now. It's going to be exciting to see what he's able to do.
Well,
out
yeah,
there.
not only is he playing alongside J.J. Watt, but J.J. Watt is like the consummate professional. He's a guy who works hard, says all the right things, does all the right things. Do you think playing next to him and being around him will actually help his progression in the NFL?
Well, sure, but I'm just curious why they're going to have Clowney Clowney lining up on the same side as Watt. I mean, their skills are pretty similar. You're talking about a guy that rushes the pass. You know, I don't understand. Maybe he really is just an all-around athlete. Maybe he's going to transition into the role really well, but I'm kind of confused by that.
They had to have seen something, right? I mean, a guy that's that
well, it's still
talented,
Wade Phillips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Wade Phillips, he's a defensive genius.
That's
so
all, yeah. Even though
I'm sure they'll figure something out. But I would have thought that they would have put him on the other side. That is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they wanted to help in some. I don't really know. One is going to help the other. I honestly don't know what the idea behind that is.
We'll see what they have up their sleeve.
All right, so we talked about Jadeveon Clowney. Obviously, the biggest addition to this team. I don't think it's a player. I think it's actually the coach. I think it's Bill O'Brien coming in.
O'Brien.
Yes, Bill O'Brien.
Bill O'Reilly.
What are you trying to say?
Definitely Bill O'Brien.
I was like, are you correcting me on a name that's correct?
Bill Murray.
He's coming in from Penn. He's coming in from Penn State. He definitely made a culture change there from a terrible situation. He's coming to another terrible situation. Houston was bad. It was time for Gary Kubiak to go. He never really did anything with that team since the Texans became an NFL franchise. So you got a guy who's come in who can actually change the culture here. I feel like this is just going to be a good overall omen for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kubiak did do a few things in his time there, but they just didn't win in the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the ideal situation for somebody like Bill Murray or Bill O'Brien.
Bill
or whatever
Murray,
his name
yes,
is.
there you go, Bill Murray, perfect.
No, I mean, and he comes from his coaching resume is actually pretty strong. He did work with Bill Belichick, whether you like him or not, but we've already seen that he's bringing some of that Belichick tight-lipped approach to
Belichickian.
Belichickian approach,
another expatriate coach patrolling the defensive sidelines in Romeo Crennel, which, I mean, I think he's right back where he needs to be, coaching the defense, the whole head coaching thing. Absolutely not.
Although he made for some great faces on the sidelines, though.
Yeah,
he just
well,
looked
that's
lost
that's
anytime they
definitely
showed
true.
him.
I think he's a big asset for them, though. I think he can really help get this defense together. He'll provide a lot of different packages. We've talked about Watt and Clowney lining up on the same side. I think they're going to run a lot of different shifts. They're a lot of different looks defensively for offenses to get a little concerned about. They're going to, I mean, they have a lot of talent on the defensive side.
Well, they certainly do. There's a reason that they finished so high last season, other than in the rushing game.
Yeah.
I mean, just can they really stuff the run? That's a big question.
Well, that is the biggest question. But I think the biggest question is you've got some really good pieces on offense, but you got rid of Matt Schaub, and instead of bringing in either a young guy or a proven guy, they brought in the exact middle. They didn't bring in a rookie or a proven guy. They brought in Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I thought that they just lost a lot on offense, and I feel like they didn't bring in much of anything on offense.
Yeah, they lost one of the best backups in the league in Ben Tate, who went to Cleveland. Owen Daniels is now gone. What did you bring in? You brought in Fitzpatrick.
I think Zach thinks there's still some Fitz magic in the works.
Although I did like Andre Brown. I know he's injured a lot.
I like Andre Brown a lot.
When he has the chance to play, which, again, Arian Foster is the starting running back here. He's going to get injured. He just seems to do it quite often.
He's not even practicing right now.
Yeah, exactly. So Andre Brown's probably going to get some opportunities, some touches. We're going to talk about his fantasy value a little bit later, but let's talk about your boy. I know you want to rant.
I'm ready to go.
Go. You got 3 minutes. Just
so
rant.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, the numbers, during his time with the Bills through week 1 through 4, 23.4 fantasy points on average, 15.2 on average in the last 4 weeks of the season, having significant more TDs early in the season, and this is all because, as far as the numbers are concerned, because of warm weather. 19.1 fantasy points in over 50 degrees and 12 fantasy points at or below 50 degrees.
Fair enough.
So taking this move to Houston, it couldn't be more of a polar opposite in terms of conditions and where he'll be playing, which is also in an easier division.
So how do you explain Tennessee?
Well,
Tennessee,
he had a couple good games there.
He had a couple.
Well,
yeah.
I think he has
a couple big games.
I think he has a much better tool in Andre Johnson, but I think there's a big problem there. I don't know if Andre Johnson wants to be in Houston anymore.
Well, he's there.
I know he's there,
he's
but
stuck.
I don't know that he really wants to be. I mean, maybe he's going to play for a way out, but
And from what I've heard, Hopkins has also looked pretty good.
That's good.
And Fitzpatrick, if he's a guy that gets a lot of chances, he can rack up a lot of yards. I wouldn't go outside of saying that it is possible that a 15th, 16th round pick for fantasy in Ryan Fitzpatrick could pay dividends.
Wow.
Fair enough.
I can't believe you went that way with it. I really thought this was going to be a rant of all ages, and you just hated it.
Well, I was reading this, and I've been looking over this. I remember when Ryan Fitzpatrick, every time he would start off the season hot, and you'd be like, oh, maybe this is the big change. As the season wore on, his numbers steadily decreased, and a lot of these games were in those types of poor conditions. I mean, all the home games, the games in New England. I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to be able to produce these types of numbers in warm weather.
Well, I'm looking at the schedule, and everything from like the halfway point of the season on, one cold weather game in Cleveland in November, and then you got Jacksonville in December, which is not going to be a cold weather game, and then you have at Indianapolis, which is in a dome. That'll be a controlled stadium. Everything else is at home. So he's basically going to get warm weather almost the entire season. That's a pretty good sign for him. If that does
I'm just saying
true.
he could be that quarterback in fantasy that literally nobody looks at that actually
you know what? That's not
produces
a bad point.
top
That's not a
15
bad
numbers.
Let's be honest, though. From a defensive standpoint, they are playing the NFC East and the AFC North, which is not conducive to throwing at all. They're going up against Cleveland. They're going up against Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh.
I still think you're going to see him be able to throw the ball. In terms of, from a fantasy perspective, you may have a good point there. From an overall team perspective,
Oh no, they can't. You can't win with them. You can't win with them.
There you go. I just say I was waiting for that part of the Ryan Fitzpatrick.
And the great thing about Fitzpatrick is he'll get you right to that precipice. He'll get you right to that point where you feel like something really great could happen, and then he'll rip it all away from you.
Very true.
All right, so let's move on to the biggest.
You can tell that I've never seen that before.
Yeah, really. Let's move on to the biggest offseason question because it has to do with what we just mentioned. How much will the Texans benefit from the mutual breakup with both Gary Kubiak and Matt Schaub? Because it was time to go.
Yeah, it was just time. I don't know. I mean, I think that you reach a point in your tenure where you gotta say that's just it. There's no more that I can bring to this organization, and I think Kubiak knew it. I think the organization knew it. It is what it is. It's time to move on, a fresh start, try it all over again.
I was pleading for Kubiak to be gone for like 4 years.
I actually jokingly said before last season, I said this season they're both gonna go. Like it's time, and it turns out they're both gone.
It seemed like it's like an Oklahoma City Thunder thing where they're just never going to make any actual changes. They keep getting to the place where they're good but not great. And finally, it all unraveled.
Yep.
I just want to know whether or not Andre Johnson and Arian Foster are actually going to be sticking with this team for their entire careers, because this is it, man. You know, they're in the prime of their careers. If Arian Foster can be healthy, that is. I don't know. You got to wonder if they're going to last.
Prime might be long gone.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that might be the prime of being a healthy first-round fantasy prospect.
And Andre Johnson's on the tail end of it. He doesn't have the same speed that he once did. But he showed his abilities last year. I mean, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. It seems like he has.
He still almost had 1,500 yards.
Yeah, solid work ethic, stays around. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of Roddy White with a little more deep ball talent.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, let's talk about some fantasy value because we got a few minutes here left in the segment. I do have written down for Ryan Fitzpatrick, he has potential 2 QB sleeper potential. I actually like him in a 2 QB league as your second QB really late.
Yeah, well, he never finished below 17th for fantasy points among QBs in his whole time in Buffalo.
Yeah.
So how is that?
I don't think
I
guess you can't ignore him. Yeah. I mean, you have Andre Johnson. You're good.
The man has thrown 400-yard games.
All right, let's talk about Andre Johnson because he's rated. This is for ADP for PPR leagues. We're not talking about standard leagues. PPR is basically the new thing.
As far as we're concerned,
it's the standard. It's the way you got to play.
It's the right way to go.
Especially on StarFantasyLeagues.com, PPR leagues.
PPR leagues coming up, baby, next week.
Yeah, he's the 15th overall wide receiver, going 37th overall, 4th round. I think it's a little early.
A little high, you think?
A little early.
Yeah? I think you're crazy.
Really?
Anybody that catches 100 balls with a plethora of chud quarterbacks at the helm, they get a 4th-round pick.
I think he just got an upgrade. I know that sounds
109 receptions, 1,400 yards. The only thing that he lacked in was touchdowns. Doesn't matter.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is an upgrade.
Yeah.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick will be able to get him the ball easier. We saw what he was capable of doing. I mean, the receiving core for the Bills was at some of its worst in the past decade with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he made Stevie Johnson look pretty unbelievable at times.
The only reason I don't think he's going to be as good as he was last year numbers-wise is because DeAndre Hopkins is going to improve. Bill O'Brien's system calls for a lot of 2 tight end sets, and they actually have some decent tight ends there.
Sure do.
I think he's going to spread. Fitzpatrick's going to play well and spread the ball around a lot more than normal, and I don't think Andre Johnson's going to have that insane breakout.
Yeah, I don't know about
year.
the deep ball. I mean, the deep ball, it's kind of a question with Fitzpatrick, but I don't know.
Wobbly.
I think Andre Johnson, I think you're going to get a steal at the late third round.
He was the guy that just padded and completely influenced Kendall Wright's fantasy season.
Yep.
That's true.
He was all over, just peppering him.
I think if you're late in the 3rd round or early in the 4th round and you see him there, take him. Grab him. You're good to go.
All right, what about the rest of this team? We're talking about DeAndre Hopkins, 44th overall wide receiver, 109, 10th round. I like him. That's the guy I like because I think you said Ryan Fitzpatrick spread the ball around. He could have a 1,000-yard season.
He sure could.
He had 800 last year, only 2 touchdowns. But again, match up.
Where he's being drafted right now is a little bit concerning for me.
Really? In the 10th round?
I know, but if Andre Johnson still ends up being that guy, it's tough to see Fitzpatrick spreading it around enough that he'll have a consistent fantasy season. I'm not saying it won't be good. I'm not saying that there is an upside because there definitely is.
All right, coming after the break, we're continuing a little bit more with some fantasy perspective from those Houston Texans and some baseball talk for today on StarFantasyLeagues.com. You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on 105.5 The Team.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at StarFantasyLeagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Jonathan, Zach, and Nick. Only on The Team.
We tried to contain the Houston Texans to 2 segments today. Didn't happen. We're in the 3rd segment talking football because, let's be honest, football started yesterday. So
there are some exciting pieces on this team, though.
There always have been.
It's much easier to talk about than,
Jacksonville.
Yeah. Well, and tomorrow you're going to tune in and listen to the Tennessee Titans, so I'm sure that'll be very exciting.
I might be rethinking my whole Marquise Lee thing, by the way.
Oh, good. I'm glad we've already flip-flopped.
I'm giving him a second look.
What? That is not me. I told you I like Marquise Lee.
No, flip-flopping.
Yeah, I'm
flip-flopping in general.
I don't flip-flop.
Okay,
I think your definition of flip-flopping is flipping and flopping and floundering.
All right, so before the break, we were talking about wide receivers for Houston and fantasy purposes, and now we got to talk about that Arian Foster doesn't stay on the field guy.
I'm not going to touch him with a 10-foot pole.
How about with a 12-foot pole?
Not going to touch him. No. He did. Sorry, but the injuries
it's already
are too
happening
bad.
again,
and it's the hamstring.
And you're like, okay, you've been out, you've had the time to get back. If he has a healthy preseason, you're feeling like you're pretty good about yourself.
It's the hamstring. The one that was like from 2 years ago. He had the hamstring issue. You know, hamstrings don't go away. They just don't.
No,
you're not going to have him for 16 games.
It stays on your body. It doesn't go away.
Yes, it does stay on your body. Sometimes it gets strained, and when it gets strained,
you're screwed.
The injury.
We all know the upside. We all know the potential that's there. It's just not. It's not a good situation for a guy that is just becoming absolutely plagued. It doesn't seem like he's going to be able to play even 3/4 of a season.
Yeah, I have literally written down on my run sheet or rundown, whatever the hell you call it, health question mark. Because let's be honest, especially where he's going, 9th overall running back, 2nd round, mid-second round.
I just feel like you should be grabbing wide receivers if you're going to be looking at him. Like if you don't get a running back in those first like 7, 8, 9 picks, something like that, you should be going for a wide receiver.
There's still too many guys. There's still too many running backs around him too, where it's like, all right, maybe Arian Foster, if he were at his fullest, could have a better season than these guys. But they're guys that also have upside that are just much safer bets.
Grab Des Bryant and be happy with your PPR selection.
I don't know if he'll be.
Yeah, you're not. He's going.
What are you talking
about?
Isn't
he going like 10th?
Isn't Foster
right now?
going in like the?
Foster's been going in the late first round in many of the drafts I've seen.
Oh, okay. So I have him listed around 16th. So
16th overall.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, then in that case, Julio
In that
Jones,
case, I'm
AJ
still not
Green.
taking him.
Yeah, still not touching him.
Let's not do that.
It would have to be me
taking
taking Arian Foster right now in a fantasy draft would have to be like end of the 2nd, early 3rd, probably early 3rd actually.
Yeah.
And being like, there's just
you just can't.
He's
pass
still there.
Yeah, you might. According to the.
And you're just like you click it painfully, knowing that it's the right decision, but you don't feel good about it.
Do it. I mean, around him you can get Julio Jones, you can get Antonio Brown, Gio Bernard, Le'Veon Bell. All those guys I like a lot more than Arian Foster.
Yep. I mean, it's just and you have a new offense too. We do have a new offense,
Yeah, we don't know yet.
You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
It's a massive, towering billboard of a caution flag.
Yeah, really. Speaking of new offenses, we mentioned Bill O'Brien runs a lot of 2 tight end sets, or he did at Penn State, and he's got basically 3 tight ends to work with here. I don't want to talk about all 3 of them. We got, what is it, Fedorowicz? CJ Fedorowicz is the rookie coming in.
Yeah.
Ryan Griffin, second-year guy from UConn, who actually played pretty well when Graham and and Daniels went down last year. And then you have Garrett Graham, 6th-year guy out of Wisconsin, who apparently has looked extremely slow already this year.
From
doesn't surprise me at all.
From what I've read, it seems like Ryan Griffin is kind of playing the Gronkowski role, and Garrett Graham the Aaron Hernandez role. Either way.
Oh wait, that.
Yeah, no, not like
okay,
that.
I was like,
no.
which way?
No, not with a gun in his hand. No. Ryan Griffin is a deep sleeper. So in fantasy drafts, you probably shouldn't be jumping all over him, at least maybe until we see a little bit out of him. But keep your eye on him, because if it is the Gronkowski role, that means he's going to be stretching the middle of the field. He's going to be going deep, and touchdowns. Tons and tons of touchdowns. That is if they get around the goal line.
Garrett Graham will probably be doing more blocking than catching.
Hopefully. If
I
he's as slow as they claim.
He's been around. That breakout hasn't happened. It's not going to happen. He doesn't have that type of speed or athletic versatility. He's a pound-it guy. He's a blocker. And if Ryan Griffin can take over this role, he's somebody to look at. He's somebody to monitor. But you're not taking any of these guys in a draft.
Maybe in the very last round, you might want to take a flyer on him.
I'd rather take a backup running back flyer.
We've said so many flyer terms on like 80 different guys.
But at the same time, like if the potential is for him to be heavily involved in the offense, you could be getting I don't know if you'd be getting a Gronkowski in the 15th round, but you could be getting potential Jordan Cameron in his rookie year, something like that.
You think you can get Jordan Cameron out of Ryan Griffin this year?
If the offense dictates that, you got to watch.
I smell a 4th week waiver wire pickup for Ryan.
But there was much more discussion about Jordan Cameron than Ryan Griffin.
Yes, we had Jordan Cameron. Zach, we talked about him last year as a breakout guy.
Yes,
and he ended up breaking out. So that tends to happen.
I broke out in like 7th grade myself.
Yep.
I was
more of a late bloomer.
Producing a lot of oil.
I don't know.
Face.
Yeah, I don't know if you meant athletically or acne-wise.
Acne. Yeah,
okay, I was just making. I was making sure. All right, so that is the last thing we're going to talk about for the Houston Texans is acne. Thank you, Ryan Griffin, for that. That's going to be great. All right, but we do have baseball going on today on StarFantasyLeagues.com for Monday. You have just over an hour to set your lineups, but thanks Major League Baseball. There's 6 games.
Is football on?
No.
Oh.
There are 6 Major League Baseball games today. Major League Baseball has screwed us over on the schedule yet again.
Dreary Monday. Another dreary Monday.
No, that's just Rochester. That's every day.
That is not every day. That is not true.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm having a great summer.
Close to every day. All right, so we got 6 games, so we decided to do something a little different today. We did pitching tiers, which is where we break all the pitchers into their price categories and see what we got. Because when there's only this few pitchers, there's 12 of them, you got to pick 3, and we're going to try to break it down for you.
There's a ton of good pitchers today.
Sarcasm?
There's only one. There's only one high over under, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a little strange. Yeah, there's one high over under. It's the Texas-Chicago White Sox game because it's Nick Martinez and Hector Noesi. That's a chud battle for the ages.
Love to hate.
But all right, so the 3 tiers are spread up this way: 15,000 and over, 10 to 15,000, and 10K and under on StarFantasyLeagues.com. So we're attacking tier 1 first. Corey Kluber, Max Scherzer, Zach Greinke, and Garrett Richards. These are all aces. I love all of these guys this season. They've all been really good. But the guy who just came off one of his best starts of his entire life is Corey Kluber. How could you not like this guy, especially with his matchup tonight?
It's hard. I mean, I'm looking forward to talking about the second tier because I think possibly the best pitcher is in that second tier.
Really?
Yeah. But Kluber, I mean, he has been dominant, and the way that Cincinnati, I mean, the problems that they've had in their lineup, injuries, they've got no power in their lineup right now. I mean, it's hard to look away from that.
They're still winning the NL Central. No.
Oh, okay.
Really.
Yeah, I was saying, that's your flip.
Well, how am I supposed to predict that half their lineup is going to be dead at the end of the season? Okay, can't do it.
I don't know. How are you supposed to predict?
You know what? I still do like Max Scherzer. I know the Yankees are a pretty tough matchup, but I still like him because he's Scherzer. Scherzer can face down any lineup. He can certainly take care of this lineup. But yeah, I would still lean towards Kluber just because of the fact that Cincinnati is so decimated with injuries right now.
Yeah, the Yankees have been plagued by inconsistency, but they've still got some bats in that lineup that looks a little bit more optimistic than Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is true.
All right, so do we like anybody? Because I know we're probably going to want to get a little bit flatter than picking two guys out of the top tier. So are we pretty much on Kluber, or is anybody else going to jump into that category?
Out of the top tier, I would take Kluber. I don't feel very good about Richards or Greinke tonight, just because
of who they're facing.
Yeah, just because of who they're facing. They've got mutually high price tags. So
yeah, I don't like either side of that matchup. The Dodgers against the Angels, to be honest.
I'll take Scherzer though.
Yeah,
Scherzer's
I like Scherzer a lot. Definitely a good chance for a lot of strikeouts tonight against the Yankees.
I'm only scared of one guy who just seems really, really, really hot. It's Brett Gardner. Man, in the past couple weeks, he's had like 5 home runs.
Yeah,
this guy who doesn't hit home runs.
I know. I had him picked one of the nights last week, and first at bat, bang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, last night against the Red Sox, he just hit some more, kept hitting, hit another home run. He's on a tear. Again, they have a lot of power lefties in their lineup too. I'd usually tend to stay away from righties against especially in Yankee Stadium.
It's going to be a great matchup though, Detroit and New York.
Should be
If
interesting.
the Yankees
tomorrow night's the big night, baby.
Price
is on the hill.
Yep. All right, so we got tier 2. Tanner Rourke. That's your best guy of the night, right? Tanner Rourke.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. Jeff Samardzija, Alex Cobb, and Alfredo Simon, who is apparently not Alfredo Simon for some weird reason.
Well, he'll always be Simone in my heart.
Yeah, so me too. So I'm assuming
that's cute.
You're saying Shark is your favorite pitcher of the night?
That's correct.
How?
Because he's at 13,800 and he's pitching against Tampa Bay.
What do you see against Tampa Bay? That I don't think they're either really bad or
they
even
can
bad.
be. They can be really bad.
They're okay. This is an extremely streaky offensive team.
I put him right now. The way he's been pitching in some of these games up there with the top tier. His salary isn't dictating that yet. There's just tons of value there to me.
I do agree that he is undervalued.
And he also puts up 8Ks a game.
And I also think that Tampa Bay is flying 3,000 miles, and they're going to be on the road against Oakland.
Yeah, do you
that
think,
always factors in.
Do you think this team has given up? Because they just
they have to.
Their franchise just told them we're giving up.
Yeah, they have to. So
you got to think Oakland's lined up for a win tonight.
Yeah,
you got to.
Okay, Oakland is almost always lined up.
They
for
need
a
to make sure that they stay on top of themselves because the Angels are right behind them. They are right behind them, and the Angels' offense may be better than Oakland's. Probably.
Yeah.
Probably after, trading away Cespedes.
Yep,
although,
probably.
Come on, Reddick.
Sorry, Jason.
Reddick's hit like 7 home runs in the past 2 weeks, too.
Reddick's been great.
That's good.
He had another
That's
2
awesome.
the other day. All right, so the tier 2, we're pretty much on the Shark. We got Kluber from the top tier. Now we got to pick somebody tier 3, 10K and under on StarFantasyLeagues.com. We got Brandon McCarthy, Kevin Gausman, Hector Noesi, and Nick Martinez. Those last 2 are facing each other, and they are chudly as all hell.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you were against Kevin Gausman a little bit, but he really has been pretty solid this season. He's young. He does have a 4 ERA, but at the same time, he is doing a little bit. I mean, and this is a really chudly tier here, so I mean, I guess I would give the edge to him, but at the end of the day, they all stink.
I've got a pretty good value stack, so can I just not pick anybody from this tier?
You can 100% advise that nobody – I have stacks written down for pretty much everyone in here. Brandon McCarthy, definitely. Noesi and Martinez, almost 100% here, although Texas, not the best offensive lineup.
Yeah, maybe a dark horse start from Noesi. That's the only one. That's the only one that I'm potentially considering.
Nick
because
refuses to touch anything on either side of Hector Noesi because he's burned him so many times in the
I
past.
don't speak his name.
I feel like this is whose name?
I said his.
He won't even do it.
I feel like this could be maybe the only situation where you'd give him a decent look.
Yeah, the only reason I hate Gausman, by the way, is because he doesn't strike anybody out. Like his best strikeout.
Yeah, but
like
what
6.
are you expecting? You're supposed to get 4 or 5 points out of your value pitchers.
No, but he's up at 10,000. I mean, if you're getting Hector Noesi,
I would be tonight on a night like tonight. I would be happy with 5.5 points.
Hector Noesi is he's so bad. It's either like 9 points or -1.
Right. I'll take the upside in a great matchup.
Sure.
I think you just got to spend on pitching tonight and hope for the best. You really do.
Yeah, because I mean, everyone's pretty much going to be stacking that Texas-Chicago White Sox game. So find your pitchers, find the guys that you think are going to get the best value for you and the most points, and then put in your value in the middle of all these lineups.
Come on, Hector.
Oh, goody. I guess
somehow now I'm just rooting for him.
All right, you know what? I'm going with him in my third tier as well. Coming after the break, we're giving you all of our top plays of the day to make your best lineup on StarFantasyLeagues.com for Monday in Major League Baseball. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on 105.5 The Team.
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show. Contact the StarFantasyLeagues.com guys via Twitter at SFL Show.
That is right. If you'd like to be part of the discussion on the Star Fantasy League Show, just tweet us at SFL Show. Maybe SFL Nick, maybe SFL Zach, but definitely don't tweet me. I don't care.
Well, your replies stink anyways.
That's not true.
Well, then hand out your Twitter handle. Let's see what you got.
You'll be like, I don't think so.
Excuse me. Have you ever
hanging out with friends, watching the game?
I don't have any friends, so I don't ever say that.
Where are your friends?
Well, maybe if you handed out your Twitter handle, you might find a few friends.
I have internet friends. They just have to do with not sports. Leave me alone.
So is that wrestling?
Is that wrestling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, I had a fan who
a non-sport.
Hold on. I had a wrestling fan who enjoys our show that made a custom T-shirt. I have my own custom T-shirt.
No, you do not.
100% true. Check
Is your
my Twitter.
face on it?
No. It just has like my slogan and stuff. It's actually pretty cool.
I might have to get a shirt with John's face on it.
Can we get
No,
one?
it doesn't have my face on it.
Can they put it on there?
And I might have to
No.
put his Twitter handle right over the top.
Yes, that right across my face. That sounds
and then
great.
we'll get as many people. I'll just tweet at you every day and be like, John's got stuff to say. And then people might follow you.
Just like that.
You should create a
Listen to John.
Twitter handle called Stuff John Says. Stuff Jonald Says.
Oh, that would be
Jonald's
good.
thoughts.
I think
That
I
would
would
be
need
good.
like much more than 140 characters for that, though.
Probably. Yeah. All right, we got to get to our top plays. You have just over an hour to set your lineup on StarFantasyLeagues.com. So we got to give you your top plays. Only 6 games today, not much to pick from, but I think we know where we're going.
Okay, I'm ready to go. My top play is Ryan Fitzpatrick. And
The Fitzmagic is coming
We
back.
were talking about the Houston Texans. Tomorrow, tune in for the Tennessee Titans. Not Ryan Fitzpatrick's team anymore, so
woof.
sad.
Nope,
Tennessee
they
Titans.
belong to the Hurt Locker.
And Chris Johnson's team.
Oh, and Hard Knocks is
Stanky.
on tomorrow night.
Ooh, with Tennessee?
Oh, yes.
Falcons.
Ooh, interesting.
I'm going with Jose Abreu, going up against Nick Martinez. 24 home runs versus righties. That's absolutely daunting. He's at 10,500. I'll take a free home run out of that tonight. And then I'm looking at Adam Dunn as my value pick. This is part of my White Sox stack, who's hitting an 845 OPS with 15 home runs versus righties. Looks great for both of those guys tonight. And Jeff Samardzija at 13,800 versus Tampa Bay. As I said, 8.9 Ks per 9 and a 50.2% ground ball percentage. Good value tonight at 13,800.
Beautiful. Nick, save us.
All right, I got Scherzer against the Yankees because I think Max Scherzer lives up to the big game. He's going to face down these Yanks and just tear them a new one. Victor Martinez going up against Brandon McCarthy. Just going to be a bloodbath for McCarthy. Sorry, but I think the Tigers are going to blow the Yankees out of the water tonight. I'm going to have my value play as Shin-Soo Choo. Yeah, I mean, Texas isn't that good, but I'm not going to say his name, so don't get me to try. They're playing a guy
So you
I
are
hate.
picking against him.
Yes,
of course he is.
you have to find some value somewhere. And stack the Tigers if you can. I know they're expensive, but if you can.
Don't you feel like all of your your Scherzer pick, your Tigers picks could all get ruined by that by picking him against him?
I'm gonna say his name.
Not at
I'll
all.
say his name. My top hitter of the day would be Adrian Beltre against him, Hector Noesi.
Who?
Bad.
Huh?
Hector no strikeouty.
Oh, who?
Hector no retire battery.
Never heard of him.
No, see him win anything.
Yeah, there you go. That's a perfect one. I'm pretty much all on this whole game. The Texas-Chicago White Sox. Sure, stack Texas if you want. If you got some nice little value in here, Tyler Flowers, catcher for Chicago, has been playing actually pretty regularly the past couple weeks. He's like 73, StarFantasyLeagues.com. That gets you some nice value in there at catcher. It's usually a tough position to fill. So
Yeah, usually
swinging.
that's one of those positions that you like to take a little bit lower at because there's only a few top guys out there.
And also, Bryce Harper's still cheap, and Kevin
And
Gausman.
still not playing well.
Kevin
But
Gausman.
look
not
at
that
everything at 7.5 for an over/under in Vegas or below, except for that Texas game.
good. And Corey Kluber, pitcher of the day. Nobody mentioned Corey Kluber.
I still can't believe you're on Bryce Harper.
I know.
Finds
it over?
Finds a nut every once in a while.
Oh my
like
God!
Every
Why are
2
you
or 3
so
weeks.
negative?
Me?
Why are you so
You talking
negative?
about me?
All right, if you're negative, don't play with us. But if you're positive and you love daily fantasy sports, play at StarFantasyLeagues.com today. We got season long
Well,
coming
yeah,
out
if
soon.
you love season-long fantasy sports,
Oh
it'll
my
help you get into the
God.
daily space.
It looks
We've
so
been testing
good.
the platform today. It's going to be awesome.
So awesome.
Tweet us at SFL Show if you want to hear some information about that, or if you just want $5 free, tell us your username. And man, I can't believe you won't say his name, but if you're not on the Hector Noesi Express tonight, you're doing it wrong. Take it easy, guys.